Aki and I were freaking out.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's just two of you,
it's
right?
just two of us. How are we going to make 90 sandwiches? And what was 90 sandwiches turned into 150. 150 turned into 200. 200 to 250. At the end of that summer, we were doing 300 sandwiches out of my mom's backyard.
As more exposure happened and the Instagram account that started off with like, just our friends following it turned into like, well, all the exposure that we got from BlogTO, we ended up on breakfast television a couple weeks later.
And everything we did was within the community. How about telling the story of bear steak sandwiches? How about a docuseries?
Today's guests are none other than the founders of Bear Steak Sandwiches, Aki Erenberg and Ricardo Barrientos. Born out of the shutdowns of the COVID-19 pandemic, Aki and Ricky began their journey with what BlogTO called one of Toronto's most iconic sandwiches. But little did we know that it would turn into something inspirational for us here in Toronto. Friends in real life, the two young entrepreneurs dove headfirst into the pursuit of sandwich excellence. Leaving their day jobs for the dream of bringing amazing sandwiches to our city, Ricky and Aki are truly inspirational. You may recognize them from their brand new weekly docuseries named The Backyard Boys, airing every Friday on their YouTube channel.
The goals keep shifting, I think, for us, because there's so many opportunities that were now being presented, and we want to try and put our pedal to the metal. There was an opportunity here to be in control of our own destiny.
Staying in a 9-to-5 for the next 35 years wasn't an option.
We are big dreamers. We kind of have a North Star.
Yeah.
And everything that we do in the stores and out of the stores is abiding by that North Star. And we really want to just share bear steak sandwiches with the globe.
So it's really authentically Toronto. That's what we say to people, and that's what we believe, right? It's born of the city of Toronto.
Hello everyone and welcome to Table 6. I'm Dana Duncanson.
And I'm Tiana Jayatunga. Aki and Ricky, welcome to
Welcome
the
to
table.
the table.
Yay.
Thanks for having us.
So happy to have you.
So let's dive right in. Aki, when you took a bite of that sandwich back in 2021, did you ever expect to be where you guys are today?
No. I think that was a part of our learning curve. And, we are very passionate about food. When Ricky first served me that sandwich, the first thing that crossed my mind was, I want more of this. And I wish I could get this anywhere in Toronto. And so we only kind of started by trying to get this sandwich to the people, right? And it started off in his backyard with friends and family. And it grew into what it is today with the 2 locations. But initially, it was just trying to share our love for this sandwich and for what we enjoy in terms of culinary to the masses, really. So the goals keep shifting, I think, for us, because there's so many opportunities that were now being presented, and we want to try and capture all of that momentum and really, put our pedal to the metal, so to speak. But there was only one sandwich when we first started. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to grow that out as far and wide as possible.
Wow. Was there a specific moment when or a specific even memory, where you realized that this was bigger than just the backyard moment and actually scalable to being an actual business?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first started, it really just started as a passion project. There were zero expectations at all. It was just about having fun, about, meeting with our friends, and about sharing what we were doing.
Yeah.
So the first cookout that we had, when Aki first brought me this idea, saying, hey, we should do this, we made an Instagram account. We made maybe 4 sandwiches in the backyard, and we took one photo. Wow. And we posted it on our Instagram account. And the very next weekend, somebody came to the backyard looking for that. We had no followers. Somebody organically found us, sought us out.
Yeah.
And this guy happened to have an Instagram account called Sandwiches of Toronto.
Yeah.
And so he's like, hey, can I have a sandwich? We're like, yeah, no problem. So we cook him a sandwich. We give him the sandwich. He eats a sandwich. We chat. He takes a photo and then kind of leaves. And so we're like, okay, that was kind of cool. We got some recognition. We would do the cookout every Sunday at around noon. The next Sunday, we had around 10 people come to the backyard.
Oh my God.
Asking for sandwiches. And so we made them for free because we're having fun. We're having a few beers. We're having a cookout.
Yeah.
And everyone loved it, and it was great. And a couple weeks after that, BlogTO arrived, And when Blog TO arrived, the next week after that, we set up an order platform and we got something like, was it 90 sandwiches? 90.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You're
And so
kidding me.
Aki and I were freaking out.
Yeah.
You know,
This is just two of you,
it's
right?
just two of us. We're in my mom's backyard. How are we going to make 90 sandwiches?
Yeah.
Right? So we were kind of devising a way on how we could possibly do this. So we rented a commissary kitchen at Scadden Court. I recruited my brother, who was in medical school at the time, to come make sandwiches with us on the Sunday. And we went to the butcher, we bought all the meat, and we said, okay, let's do this. And 12 o'clock hit, people started showing up, and it was kind of easy. We made the 90 sandwiches in about 2 hours. We got them out. The people loved them. And I think that was the moment that Aki and I can pinpoint and saying, well, maybe this is something.
Yeah.
So we continued that momentum throughout the rest of the summer. And what was 90 sandwiches turned into 150. 150 turned into 200. 200 to 250. At the end of that summer, we were doing 300 sandwiches out of my mom's backyard.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Your mom must have been like, wow, they have a lot of friends.
Yeah, that's right. Two of these random strangers at my door looking for sandwiches.
God bless her heart.
Yeah, that's right.
She was really supportive during that entire time, you know, allowed that, that entrepreneurial flower to blossom. And so at the end of the summer, you know, Aki and I looked at ourselves and we said, we may have done something here. We may have discovered something. And so we kind of sat with that idea for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when the space opened up, our first location on College, it became available. We kind of jumped at it.
Wow.
Because we said, hey, look, here's an opportunity for us to leave our jobs, do what we want to do, and have fun every single day.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was really appealing to Aki and I, because I think we had both discussed, and, you know, we're dreamers, both of us, and we said, hey, maybe like one day we can do something of our own. We could have it become a success. And we had the opportunity, and we jumped. And so that's the story of the birth of Bear Steak Sandwiches.
Wow.
So fascinating.
That's crazy. Yeah. What was your guys' vision for success when you first started? Like what defined that for you?
I mean, when we first started, again, it was like just cooking for friends and family. So success for us was just doing what we enjoy doing, which is grilling and, you know, just eating mainly. But then sharing that love with the people that we care about. That term success changed week to week as more exposure happened, and the Instagram account that started off with like, you know, just our friends following it turned into like, well, all the exposure that we got from Blog TO, we ended up on breakfast television a couple weeks later. And you can see that the metrics that we were trying to chase were happening quite rapidly. And so immediately success for us was, how far can we take this, right? We really want to challenge ourselves in building this out from proof of concept in his backyard to what's the next step? What's the next thing for us to do? And when we even opened up on College, you know, the dream for us was, hey, we're quitting our jobs. We're opening up a sandwich shop. I get to work with one of my best friends and make money doing that. And I think that in and of itself would have been a great little sort of like side plot to what we had sort of started with. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the lines start happening and we start selling out and you see what the potential could become, again, the goalposts shift. And now we're talking about, well, what's the next logical step for us to grow this business? So you hire a team. Then you hire the team and you start to find ways to get yourself off the line. So you can start to think about the second location. That second location happens. Well, now what's the next thing for us? Well, let's get the third location, the fourth location.
Wow.
Every single day, you know, Ricky and I have an opportunity to look at the business and say, what is the next logical step for us to really grow this out in our sort of, in our vision, essentially? What is the thing that we want to achieve next? And I think that's what him and I do so well is, you know, while we are big dreamers, we kind of have a North Star.
Yeah.
And everything that we do in the stores and out of the stores is abiding by that North Star. And we really want to just share Bear Steak Sandwiches with the globe, right? We don't want to just stop in Toronto. We want to be international someday. So when you talk about success, that metric will change every single year. It just depends on what we are capable and what we really want to be doing.
Yeah. When you look back to the early pop-up days, and you mentioned your mom and her backyard, so she was obviously a support. Who else was there in terms of your support system that helped you to really get this concept off the ground?
Yeah, you know what? I think everyone was supportive. My parents,
Yeah.
Aki, our friends, our local community, businesses in the area. Especially during COVID, I think there was a really strong feeling of supporting local and community, and we wanted to contribute to that as well, right? So all of our suppliers were located within a couple blocks of us. We got our meat at Nosso Talio, which was just on Bloor. We got our bread at Golden Wheat Bakery, which was just on College. And everything we did was within the community. And so that was one of our principles that we started with.
Yeah.
And we received that back in kind. The local businesses came out for us. They supported us.
Yeah.
We did a lot of, lunch exchanges with, some of the restaurants on College. They came in, we went over to them. We were able to foster a lot of these relationships, which we still have today, right? And anytime we need something, we can reach out to these people, ask them for advice, do a collaboration together. So that's how a lot of these things happen. So that's really, really important to us, the community aspect, and we really felt supported when we started.
Yeah, I love that local community collaborative effort on everyone's part.
It's great that you can collaborate with like so many people in the neighborhood as well. There's something about working with friends though. It's like there's two things you shouldn't do is like move in with a good friend and then like work with a friend if you want to ruin the relationship.
Yeah.
How did you guys realize like you could work so well together? Because that could have been a make or break for the friendship, right?
Yeah, and it's not that it's easy to work with your friend. Of course, it's easier because the line of communication is so open. But I think that what Ricky and I do really well is we balance each other out, right? I would say that I'm more on the creative side of things. He's very much on the food side of things as well as the numerical side of things. So a lot of the back of house stuff is in Ricky's court, and a lot of the things that you see on social media and all of the marketing sort of initiatives that we've taken on are in my court. And because of that, we're kind of leaning on each other, and that helps to strengthen the relationship that we have so that when we want to do that next thing, we almost already know what the blueprint's going to be, right?
Yeah.
So not that there's perfect days all the time, but I think it's like iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And we really are able to bounce ideas off one another, get opposing perspectives. And when we come to that agreement on what we want to move forward with, it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I love that. Ricky, what's your perspective on this? How do you find, balancing all the business with a friend?
Yeah, I think it's a necessary part of our success. I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own, right? I don't know if Aki would have been able to do this on his own. So it's a prerequisite for our success to be able to work together effectively. And I mean, as Aki mentioned, not every day is perfect, and there's going to be disagreement and there's going to be struggle. But I think we both take the view that struggle is also a necessary part of the growth for our business.
Yeah.
Where that conflict breeds great solutions. That conflict breeds compromise. That conflict is really what's going to help us make the best decision for our business every single day. So that struggle, yeah, it's real and it happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We both come from big families. I'm one of 4.
That's true.
Aki's one of 4. So, we spar with each other. We bounce ideas off each other. But I think at the end of the day, like Aki mentioned, we have the same goal in mind. And when we come to that consensus, we are 110% confident that that's the correct move, or we move forward, no holds barred.
Wow.
What's your birth order? I'm just curious.
First.
You're first?
Both of us.
First.
Okay,
Wow.
that's actually really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's good
a
practice.
firstborn too, so it's like we get things done.
Yes, that's right. We're doers. 100% we're doers. Yeah.
Okay, so you both actually held your own jobs before going into this full time. So what was it like to kind of balance both of that at the same time? And, when did you decide to go full in on Bear?
Yeah, it's a great question because I think first of all, there has to be a disclaimer out there. Always chase your dreams, pursue the thing you want, but know the risk that comes with it because there is no overnight success, right?
Wow.
There's no project that's going to start off out the gate running hot. Ricky and I doing this in the backyard, it was one day a week during COVID when we had a lot of free time and we had the ability to think about what it is that we wanted to sort of accomplish with those backyard days. I would say that the kind of turning point for us where we knew this was what we wanted to do was when that first pop-up turned into a second pop-up, turned into weeks and months of serving this sandwich to the people, and the proof of concept established itself.
Right.
Because we're looking at this and saying there was an opportunity here to be in control of our own destiny. And on top of everything else that we had to already kind of take care of in terms of like, you want the comfort of having your salary and your vacation days and your benefits and all these nice things, right? But at the end of the day, what you really want is autonomy, and you want to be in control. And when we were doing this pop in the backyard, we were in full control. Every iota of effort put into it was immediately rewarded with people coming to the backyard, and we could see that conversion happening in real time. And so I think it was right around the end of August when Ricky's mom was basically like, hey, please leave my house. But we were like, we want to continue to pursue this. Like we want to see this through because it would be a shame to have all this momentum and then just kind of let it fizzle out. So we knew at the end of August of 2021, the end goal for us was to open up our own store. We wanted this to become a full-fledged business, brick and mortar. How we got there, it took about 2 years, right? But I think a lot of people in that time would see the amount of work and the foundational steps that have to be laid just to have a business to speak on, and it deters them. And for us, we were like, no, I want this and he wants this. And so together, if we put our minds to it, we're going to find that location. No matter how long it takes, we will get there. And then once we get there, okay, well, that's the first domino to fall. What's next? Okay, well, now we're going to, create a logo, and we're going to start talking about a business plan. What's the menu look like? And as soon as you start to flesh these things out one by one, the vision becomes very clear and you have that big picture.
Right.
So we knew almost at the end of that pop-up period, we wanted to do this, but it was over that 2-year window where we're like, okay, well, we're going to take this risk because we've already invested so much time and effort into this. It'd be a shame not to at least pursue this.
And were you consistent in those 2 years of like continuously pursuing it? Or was there a time where you even just said like, you know what, like maybe let's not go further and stay in the comfort of our 9-to-5s?
I would say, speaking for myself, and I believe I'm speaking for Aki as well, that staying in a 9-to-5 for the next 35 years wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So we were looking for the escape hatch. And if it wasn't this, it was going to be something else.
Yeah.
In fact, most people don't know this, but this wasn't even our first business venture together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was your first?
Oh, man.
We had a few failed business attempts. I mean, not really. We didn't really try in earnest, but we had the idea and the will. We started some businesses that we involved our friends in. I don't want to speak too much on it.
We don't include those in the.
That's right.
It's not in the CV.
That's in the past. Yeah, that's right.
But just things among friends.
I hear you on that. And I think a lot of people are in that space now where they are looking to escape their 9-to-5. And we hear a lot about hustle culture, particularly in the food and just creative industries. What is something that you would want to share with anyone who's trying to move into that? And maybe from your experience, what is something that you realize maybe took a physical and mental toll as you were really trying to shift into the hustle that maybe not a lot of people don't talk about?
Yeah, I feel that, being an entrepreneur, and for the people that are entrepreneurs, they can understand this very well. It's not that these problems that you face on a day-to-day are difficult problems. A lot of the times they're kind of fairly routine problems, but it's constantly jumping over these knee-high hurdles every single day.
Yeah.
For years, or as long as you run this business, you're constantly having to jump over these knee-high hurdles. And what can really bring you down is if you get tired, right? You need that persistence. You need that iron will to keep pushing, because every single day there will be a new problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have the optimism that you're going to be able to solve the problems and keep on pushing forward. So I think with that being said, Aki and I really share the iron will, right? Where we are so focused and so determined to make this a success that we will go to any lengths that are necessary. And we're not going to get tired, and we're going to keep pushing. And when a door closes, another one opens, and we're going to walk through it. Or we're going to continue to walk through it. And it's difficult, and it's not for everyone. I will say that.
Yeah.
Some people may, it may work better for their temperament to have a 9-to-5 or do something else or be more flexible. But Aki and I are just obsessive about what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. We think about it day and night, and we have for the past probably 4 years, right?
Yeah, more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're approaching year 5 now.
There's zero rest. There's zero respite. We're constantly on, but that makes me feel so alive. And I love that. So that works for me. That works for my personality. That works for Aki's personality, but it might not work for everyone else's personality.
So do you guys like find balance by actually taking some time off, or are you just kind of like really just pushing yourself now while you have the momentum? And
I want to answer that question by building on what he just said.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see Marty Supreme?
no.
Okay. There's a line in that movie where he talks about having a goal, and he's so pursuing of that goal that everything else kind of fades around him, and he just knows what he wants to do. And I think it's almost to a level of stubborn that you have to want what you want, because there will be days and months and years where you may not actually see the milestones and the accomplishments that you thought was going to happen. And when we started this business, you know, we immediately caught fire, and I'm very grateful for the community for being able to support us in that way. And we had a lot of attention that came to our front door almost as soon as we opened. That doesn't happen for everybody, especially not in restaurant industry, where it's a challenge, especially in a city as diverse as Toronto gastronomically, where you have so many different options. How do you stand out, right? When him and I, we decided that we wanted to do this, we knew the risks that came with it, right? We are now in control of our own destiny, but that means that the only people accountable for us are each other.
Right.
And so there are, of course, days where, we are exhausted, right? We have so many things going on at once, simultaneously while operating the business. You need to think about your next step, and then you're thinking about 2 weeks ahead in terms of, your staffing, your inventory. There's so many different logistical headaches essentially to need to cater to. But at the end of the day, that end goal doesn't fade, right? And we always know what we want to do next, and that's what pushes us to go forward. Now, thankfully, him and I, we can bounce ideas off one another, and we do have an ability to sort of be like, hey, I need a day off. Can you help me out? Whatever that is. We also have a fantastic team. And so being able to rely on a team that allows that operation to flow smoothly while him and I are outside of the stores growing the business, that's another pivotal part of this.
You guys were talking a little bit about having to deal with so many challenges, and challenges come every day. Maybe each of you can share an early chaos moment that happened. Aki's like, oh God.
Where to start?
Yeah, but choose one that you can think of, and
Sure.
share with us.
I think our first day in operation is probably a good place to start. We had everything set up. We were really excited. There was a line down the block that had arrived about 45 minutes before we were going to open the doors. The excitement in the building and out of the building was palpable. And at that very moment, one of our staff knocked the router.
No.
And so we had no ability to take any kind of card payments
Oh my God.
on our first day. So we tried to set it up, plug it back in. It just didn't work on our first day. So on our first day, we had to take cash.
Yeah.
We opened the doors.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Nobody was really prepared for that. And we kind of had to improvise. We had to say, hey, like, we'll take your order now. We'll write it down. Like, you go to the bank and come on back. We'll have it ready.
My gosh.
And what was already going to be a chaotic day, being our first day in operation, was even, exponentially more chaotic because of this element that we hadn't foreseen. And it came right at the perfect time. And I think that's a theme, right? Every time you think you have everything perfect and lined up, something's going to go wrong.
Prepare for the worst.
Yeah, truly. It's Murphy's Law. But yeah, I forgot about that, honestly. That was a nightmare to deal with. No internet at 11:30 right as the doors open, and we're like, all right, we're going to do this live. I think there's so many challenges that Ricky and I have overcome over the last 2.5-ish years of operating. There's been a few that I think are like colossal, kind of like we need to sit down and think about these issues. I would say one of the biggest challenges that we faced was last year opening up the second location, because when Ricky and I first opened the store on College, we were able to actually be in there. So we had full control and visibility of what was going on in that operation. And so making the right adjustments could happen immediately when you're the one kind of responsible for calling the shots. We have obviously done our best to build a team that can allow that operation to operate independent of us so that we can continue to grow the business. When we got that second location and we start talking about new systems, the layout is obviously different. So mapping out what a day-to-day operation would look like in that store, and just getting to a place where you can open. I think there was a lot that had to be overcome in that, while the first store was also in need of its own assistance. But the biggest lesson that I think we've learned in growing this operation is that there needs to be some form of consistency in your business, whether it be through your SOPs, whether it be through the team leads that you have, the leadership style that you present. There has to be some form of system that's in place that you can rely on and say, well, I'm comfortable with this being my standard, right? And if you don't have your standards established ahead of time, you start to make compromises that could hurt you down the road. And so that was, I think, the biggest challenge, was just getting from one store to two and knowing what we needed and what was required to ensure that these stores could operate independent of us, because if we're on the line, we cannot grow the business.
Yeah.
Right. So that was really what we've been working on all this time, is getting from us being employees to essentially being sort of owners and moving forward on our goal to accomplishing more and more.
Do you have like a specific example of like having to deal with that and, you know, the struggle there?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our Wellington Market location opened up in like mid-July, and we have all the equipment, the team is in place, we're ready to go. We know what the sandwiches look like because we obviously have the first location, so it's all sort of, the expectation is set. Now, you open the doors and there's a line all the way down the market space for like 4 hours. And suddenly we're right back to square one at college, where it's like, well, how could we have not seen that coming, right? Like, best case scenario happens for us again. And now we're like, okay, well, we need more inventory and we need more staffing and we need more systems in place to allow for this influx of people once demand spikes, right? For ourselves, I think we are kind of our greatest enemies, because we always look at the kind of the conservative outlook, just so we don't we don't want to gas ourselves up too much. But 2 locations have opened where we've kind of been in the best case scenario, and we were just kind of unprepared for that. And then getting to a place where your supply can meet your demand and you're not overwhelming anybody on your team has been sort of the biggest challenge for us, getting from one store to 2.
Now that you've sort of done this with one location and another location, do you find like you can see the patterns in terms of like starting new locations? Are you able to better predict how to deal with it as you continue to scale the business?
Prepare for a lineup.
Well, maybe that's the first thing we need to worry about. Yeah, definitely.
We know our business now, right? A lot better than we did when we first started. We know our customers a lot better. We know what is, what's going to be successful and what's not going to be successful. So we're much better armed as entrepreneurs to be able to keep growing this business. But the problems that we're facing are getting bigger and bigger, right? A famous man once said, "More money, more problems," right? And that's true of business. But as you said, it is a pattern, right? So we kind of know to expect these problems. We're able to emotionally regulate ourselves, and we're able to deal with those issues as they come up, right? At the beginning, it was small problems, like not ordering enough meat. Like you ran out of meat one day because you just didn't order enough. Now it's bigger problems. It's how do we strategically position this business to be able to grow to 3, 4, 5 locations, and what do those systems look like to allow us to be able to do that?
Right.
That's a much more complicated problem, but I feel like given the experience that we've had over the past 3 years, we're equipped to solve it, and so we do. So, it is a progression, and we do feel like we're able to do this, but the problems just keep coming, and they're never going to stop.
That's fair.
I love that. So for someone out there who's watching and thinking about, we've got a lot of visionaries in Toronto, and people are probably watching this thinking like, what should they start with? Or, what's one piece of advice that you want to give those young visionaries who are out there watching this?
There's always going to be a way, right? There will always be a way to get something done. The question is how hard you want to work for that. And are you okay with being uncomfortable a lot of the time? Because it's not predictable anymore, right? The lifestyle that we live is very much like we are tied to the success of our business. And I think that's why we work so hard, because we want to see this flourish. We want to really grow this to be something that is a community pillar of the city.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. It's never been easy. And I don't think anybody should be telling an entrepreneur, hey, guess what? If you just, you put in your 8 hours a day, this will happen for you overnight. It won't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality that you have to accept and then pursue, is knowing how hard you want to work for something will allow you to achieve that.
Really good. Yeah, that's a solid piece of advice.
Yeah.
Love that.
So Ricky, you're kind of like the head chef here. It's like your chimichurri recipe and everything. You also have a Dominican background. Did any of that cultural heritage play a part in the recipe or identity of the original sandwich?
Yeah, I think probably in some indirect way. I would say definitely not directly. Chimichurri is not a Dominican thing. Nor is flan steak, nor is the Portuguese bread that we use.
Yeah.
But I'll say my upbringing combined with where I lived in Little Italy in Toronto, and the people and the foods and the cultures that I had come in contact with, really formed my tastes and formed what I like to eat. And when I put together the sandwich, it was a mix of the family recipe of the chimichurri that we had. It was the Portuguese bread that I grew up eating because the bakery was 2 blocks away. It was the flank steak that we got from the Italian butcher that was also a couple blocks away. So everything was really an amalgamation of all of these experiences that I had growing up. So it's really authentically Toronto. I wouldn't say it's Dominican or anything else. It's a Toronto sandwich.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we say to people, and that's what we believe, right? It's born of the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. And that is so Toronto. I mean, Toronto really is bar none when it comes to the food scene. And I love how all the pieces of your sandwiches sort of come from different backgrounds. Why do you think visibility and representation is important as founders?
I mean, it's hugely important to us as people, first of all. So let's start there. We each come with our own individual stories, and all of this means something to us personally, but it also means something to other people. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean the same thing. But if there's somebody that's Portuguese in the neighborhood and they come in and they see we're using pap seco, which is a Portuguese bread, that means something to them.
Yeah.
And if somebody is Argentinian and they come in and they see we're using chimichurri on our sandwich, well, that means something to them, right? So it's hugely important, representation and the identity that comes wrapped up in that sandwich. And primarily we do it for us because we just think it's a tasty sandwich and we love it and it means something to us. But we're also not blind to the fact that this can also mean something to everyone, right? And hopefully this can create its own identity one day, where 20 years from now, somebody knows that sandwich as the Toronto sandwich.
Toronto sandwich.
Right? And that becomes the identity. So I think it's hugely important and it's hugely impactful, and food as a medium is more than just the ingredients. It comes wrapped up with so much, and that's really important.
How would you say your upbringing in the city and just in general with your families has impacted the way that you show up for work and just show up in your business?
I grew up in Thornhill, so just about like 30, 45 minutes away from the city. And he grew up on Palmerston in Little Italy for the last, 2-3 decades. And even though we were not in the same pocket of the city, it was the same experience, right? You're growing up with people who are not Toronto natives. I'm half Japanese, he's Dominican Chilean. There's so many cultures that are represented in this city that I think are important to be exposed to, because it opens your mind up, right? In the same way that traveling helps you in terms of like just getting a new perspective, being in Toronto kind of gives you that same level of just awareness overall, that I think it was important that we grew up in Toronto, because you have such an opportunity to succeed in a city that embraces that level of diversity, right? So I don't think there was ever a moment where we were like, we want to make a sandwich that is Dominican or Argentinian. We just said, we love the flavors that we love. We like the foods that we eat. So if there's a way for us to kind of consolidate those things and put that on a menu and say, well, this is a bear steak sandwich, not even a whatever tied to ethnicity sandwich. We just love this food. And so for us, it wasn't even an afterthought. It was like second nature to say, well, we're going to borrow from flavors and backgrounds that we are familiar with, but also have been exposed to,
Yeah.
and sort of blaze a path forward so that everybody can enjoy this Toronto sandwich because
Yeah.
it is symbolic of Toronto.
Yeah. That is very Toronto.
Yeah, no, it
truly.
is so Toronto.
Yeah.
And I feel, well, that's always the difficult, like when people talk about like what is Toronto culture, I think you're speaking to that because Toronto is this fusion of cultures that then create the two of you and then you bring your ideas together and now you have this food fusion, which is something that we see throughout the scene, throughout the food scene in Toronto. So that's amazing. How do people like online and in person show up for you? Like, have you had any stories of people who followed your story online and kind of supported your business?
Yeah, I mean, we're really blessed that we have, too many people to name
Yeah.
that probably fall into that category. We have a lot of regular customers that have been supporting us since day one. And I can confidently say that at this point, they're more than customers, right? They're friends. They're people that we ask advice of, right? They're people that we go out to dinner with, right? If you come in enough and you know us and you want to talk to us, we're gonna be friends.
Oh, good.
So, there's so many people and they've all kind of contributed in their own different ways, right? With their own different skill sets. One of them happens to have a camera, comes in, takes some photos once in a while. Another one, does video and can do video. And this is all, out of the goodness of their hearts.
Yeah.
They're excited about us. They're excited about our brand. And we're excited about them and what we can do together. So, having that relationship with our customers and developing these genuine relationships, I think has played a massive role in our success. And you never really know who's going to walk into that shop.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the doors that have opened for us is people that come into the shop, eat the sandwich, and just want to have a conversation.
That's great.
And you never know where they're going to come from or what they have to offer. And we're there to talk to them and to listen. So that's been hugely important for us. And I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of the job for me personally, just being able to have those conversations with the people that come in the door.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest thing was when we first opened up on college, it'd been 2 years since the backyard days, but people were coming in, seeing the branding and being like, oh, you were the backyard guys.
Yeah.
And opening up in the same neighborhood that we had started in was a massive help for us to kind of push the brand forward. But I think when we started off this business, one of our mantras is like your friendly local sandwich shop. And we really want to embody that because that is why places do so well is they don't do it in a sense of trying to make money, or they don't do it in a sense of trying to pursue something that's very kind of self-absorbed. It's we wanted to serve food that we enjoy to the neighborhood, to the community, to the city, right? And so that is why we open up these restaurants and we say, well, this is fun because somebody that came in that day who had our sandwich for the first time and was speaking to us and hears our story and that background and goes, well, I'm going to tell my friend. I mean, that's the most important thing for our kind of marketing because it shows that you have now shared this passion with us.
Yeah.
And we want to continue to share that with the entire city because at the end of the day, we're talking about sandwiches.
Yeah.
But if you love that and I love that, we now have a mutual interest. Well, great. Now we can continue to build this community and just go forward.
Honestly, that's like literally what you guys are known for. Because I remember one of our first collabs that we did. I was like I was leaving, and I was like, okay, bye guys. And I was like walking to the TTC, and these two older dudes like walked past me, and they're like, they were having their own conversation, but I heard it, and they were like, oh, these two guys. Like he was telling his friend, he's like, there's just two young guys in the store, and all they do is they sell like two things on their menu, but everyone's always lining up for it. And it was just like,
Hell yeah.
And I think I came and I told you guys about this later, and I was like, that's so funny because that's literally what people think when they know you for is like just two young guys like running after this sandwich dream that started in your mom's backyard, and it's great.
Yeah, it's as simple as that, right? And look at all the collabs we've done too. This is not for us to try and say that we're competing.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's almost the exact opposite of that. The kind of driving force behind a lot of our collaborations has been why not create something really cool that the city would be interested in and bring in even more people into our community.
Yeah.
We started off with a small sandwich shop and we're turning it into something that everybody can look at and say, well, this is high quality food done with, finesse to some degree, but most importantly, it's a kind of a basis point for conversation and just for people to kind of like resonate with. And that's really why we wanted to continue to do these collaborations and grow that market, because I think Toronto has so many good options for food and so many creative chefs and tastemakers and personalities that why not take the opportunity to share that passion with everybody?
Agreed. Well, we've been talking a lot about this sandwich, and I think we're getting really hungry. Luckily, they have brought us some of their OG sandwiches to try. So, whoa, how did that get there? Okay. So
How'd you do that?
I don't know. Just magic, you know. So we have your OG steak sandwiches here, guys. I'm so excited. I mean, I've eaten this many a time.
I have not. So I'm
You
excited.
haven't. Yeah, Dana hasn't tried your sandwiches.
Can you believe that?
This is a great day for you, Dan.
Yeah.
But I'm near your new location, so
As you take a bite here, let me walk you through this.
Yes,
okay,
go
let's do
for
it.
it.
Should I be dipping it?
That's for the
That's
fries.
for the fries.
For the
That's
fries,
for the
okay.
fries.
Noob. No, I'm just kidding.
Save space.
So this is the purest version of a steak sandwich that we could possibly make.
It smells delicious.
It's flank steak. It's beefy. It's rich. It's delicious. We sous vide it for 4 hours, so it's beautifully tender.
Oh my god.
We sear it. We salt it generously. Slice it against the grain. Put it on that pillowy, soft pop secco, and then it gets topped with a dollop of our house-made chimichurri, which is bright and herbaceous and garlicky and tangy. And it's 3 ingredients, but I think it's all you need.
Only 3 ingredients. This
It's
is so
only 3.
flavorful, and oh, the meat's so soft.
It's delicious. It's so good. My in-ear just fell out.
Just radiating.
Once.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand why when I had this sandwich the first time, 6 years ago, I was like, we need to get this out to the people. It is something that is so simple, but
Honestly.
so delicious in its execution. This was the whole basis for bear steak sandwiches.
Were there any variations of the sandwich before you landed on this?
0.
It's the exact same sandwich in the
Yeah.
backyard. Same bread, same recipe, same steak. I mean, obviously our process has gotten better in terms of getting from serving the 5 to 10 sandwiches to the 300 that we do now. But the components of this sandwich are identical to what we were doing 6 years ago.
Yeah. People don't realize how much steak is in this sandwich.
Yeah,
like
it's
maybe
loaded.
no, it's like loaded. Like it's an actual full steak. Maybe you guys can tell them how many ounces of steak you can find in the sandwich.
So that's a half pound of steak in there. That's 8 ounces. And that's one of the things that we had never seen before, right?
Yeah.
When I heard steak sandwich, I thought Philly cheesesteak. I thought it's either
Yeah.
the chopped up steak or it's the shaved steak. It's always well done, right? It comes in a bun, probably with some cheese all over it. That was the idea of a steak sandwich in this city. We had never seen, truly a steak on a bun,
Yeah.
cooked medium rare and put on a bun. So that was new for us, and I would love to eat that. So why don't we just make that? And so that was a part of the reason why, we made our steak sandwich like this. It's
Yeah.
the best quality meat we can buy, prepared in the most careful way that we could possibly make it, as simply as we can possibly make it, because we are not chefs, right? We did not have any experience, so it needed to be kind of simple by design.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's delicious and it's unique.
I don't know. I think I'd say you guys are chefs. That's like, I love steak. This
are.
is really good steak.
Food connoisseurs.
Honestly, you guys kind of revolutionized like what a steak sandwich is in Toronto. There's a lot of people now doing steak sandwiches like yours, but you guys were the first to actually do a proper steak sandwich, not like a Philly cheese steak sandwich.
Yeah, and I
That's
love
on
that.
camera. There we go. We have that recorded.
I see a lot of people doing it, but I'm just like,
Yeah, I don't think I mean, again, it's not hard, right? The process that we've come up with is simple by design. So
Yeah.
it's not difficult to make a steak sandwich like ours. The difference is that we have done this for decades, right? This is a recipe that Ricky's had in his family for some time, and it complements the flavors of that steak so well. We're working with a butcher that we've been going to for decades. The baker we've been going to almost all of our lives. I think this is a part of the city that is highlighted in this sandwich that it's really a Toronto sandwich because we're using everything local.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what's really on display here is just how incredible this city is if you just look hard enough and find your local baker, butcher, even the produce itself. There's so many different ways that you can create a sandwich, but we've done it in a way that utilizes 3 ingredients and just puts it out to the people.
Yeah. So you guys have a lot of collabs and everything too. I mean, I have a favorite, obviously.
The angry one.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, we for those who are listening and I guess are like, what is she talking about?
Yeah, who's your favorite?
They have a special called the Tiana special, which comes out once every December. We'll see if they bring it out again this December. We'll see.
It's a flank steak, so same amount of meat. So it's about a half pound of flank. It's marinated overnight in like a soy glaze. It's then hit with cranberry sauce that we also caramelize. You've got arugula, melted brie, and pickled cranberries. And this year we actually had a local baker in Toronto or chef, Cody, who baked us fresh sourdough every single day.
That was a great addition.
It was
actually.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff was fantastic. But yeah, that's the Tiana special.
Yeah, but enough about my sandwich, even though it's a great sandwich. Maybe you guys can paint a picture a little bit about your upcoming collaboration, because you guys are always working on something brand new. So what's the new sandwich people can kind of expect?
Yeah, so we're coming out with 3 brand new sandwiches. We're really excited about them, and this is kind of the culmination of a very, very long process, right? If we're going to put anything on the menu, we want to make sure that it's as close to perfect as possible. And it's in line with what people know and love of bear steak sandwiches. Throughout the years, a lot of people have asked us for different things. So we kind of have a good idea of what the people want.
Yeah.
Right? So with that in mind, people say, hey, can I get cheese on my sandwich? And we had a no mods rule. So no one can ever get cheese on their sandwich.
Or ketchup.
But I love cheese and it's a good ingredient. So how can we incorporate that into a sandwich? One of the sandwiches that we're going to make is called steak a la vodka. Yeah. So it's going to be homemade vodka sauce, homemade pesto sauce, and homemade cheese.
Wow.
Yeah, you heard that right. We're making our own cheese.
That is going to be divine.
Because, we just want to make the best sandwich possible. And if we have to make our own cheese to do that, then we're going to do that. And we really think it's something special. We're kind of in the beta test now, and everyone that's tasted it, has had a really a lot of good things to say about that. So we're really excited about that. We're also doing called a steak and cheese. Yep, which is going to be steak sandwich. It's going to be some melted provolone, some caramelized onions, some chives, horseradish mayo. I think that's the really classic steak sandwich flavor that a lot of people might have in their minds.
Yeah.
But it's going to be paired with that medium rare flank that we all know and love, and it's going to be just an elevated version of your classic steak sandwich. And then the third sandwich is going to be something a little bit different. It's called the steak avocado.
Oh.
So a lot of people have asked us, hey, can you put like a vegetable on there maybe?
Avocado's a fruit.
Okay,
They've asked for that too.
Still not giving the people what they want. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit more of a fresher take on the steak sandwich. Cilantro, lime crema, avocado, cilantro, pickled jalapenos and onions. And it's a completely different flavor profile to the current sandwich we have.
Yeah.
But I think it's just as delicious.
Yeah.
And everyone that has tried these new sandwiches, their favorite, it's all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some people's favorite is the vodka sandwich. Some people's favorite is the steak and cheese. Some people's favorite is the steak avocado.
Wow.
So that really tells us that we struck a really good balance with it.
Yeah.
And we're really, really excited to get this in people's hands.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like an official like taste tester who, once you get their approval, you're like good to go?
Yeah, we have multiple taste testers.
All right.
So we have our staff, first
Can
of
we
all.
volunteer our time as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
cancel you in.
So
I do
we have our
volunteer
staff. The staff is the first, the first crack at it. So our staff need to love it, right? They need to love what they sell.
Yeah.
Then it's those regulars that I talked about. The people that have been there from day one.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys want to come over and maybe try these sandwiches before anyone else gets them?
Yep.
Yeah, so you know they'll come in. We'll get the opinions of our loyal customers, and then I guess the last line of defense is Aki and I, right? We gotta love the sandwiches too.
Yeah.
And so I feel pretty confident. You know, if we love the sandwiches, our staff love the sandwiches, and our really loyal customers love the sandwiches, that it's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
So.
It's a real new year for you guys because these are not sandwiches that would have been on the menu like even a year ago. In fact, I feel like these are things that you would have put on your April Fool's Day photo. It's just like, just kidding. We're not doing that.
You should do one of those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny because we do April Fool's posts where we're like, we're making a vegetarian sandwich. We're like, oh, we're making a well done steak ketchup sandwich. And it's like, well, we're not going to do that. But yeah, this is, you know, about 2 years of building, getting to a point where we are confident in what we're about to put out. We don't just do things because they're trendy. We do things because we genuinely enjoy them. And if we enjoy them, then we believe that you will too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your new docuseries. You've got a new 8-part docuseries on YouTube. How did you come up with the idea of doing that? What was the catalyst for making it?
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned before, I'm a lover of film.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And like most things happen in our business, it's kind of, you know, happenstance or coincidence, and people that just walk into our shop. And Adnan, who is our co-producer for this docuseries, was one of those people. He walked into our shop cold, and he said, "Hey, my name is Adnan, and I'm a videographer. Would you like reels for your business?" And
that's the Adnan origin story?
That is the Adnan origin story.
Way.
Yeah, they're cold DM, yeah.
So we sat in our basement, and he came prepared with a PowerPoint presentation of how he could create all these reels for our business and all the other reels that he's prepared for other businesses. And he was really excited and, you know, wanted to do this for us really badly. And Aki and I kind of looked at that and we said, all right, how about a bit more narrative here? How about telling a story that goes beyond 30 seconds? How about telling our story? How about telling the story of bear steak sandwiches? How about a docuseries? And in that moment, I saw Adnan's eyes light up. And immediately he was kind of, you know, fascinated by this idea. And I think we all knew in that moment that we were going to make this a reality. He said something to the effect of, "I will do this for free. I am so excited about this.
Wow.
I want to bring your story. I want to be a part of this."
Yeah.
And we partnered, the three of us, to produce what has now become an 8-part docuseries, which we're releasing weekly every Friday on YouTube, that tells our story. That tells the story of bear steak sandwiches, our struggles, the reality behind your favorite sandwich shop in Toronto, the gritty underbelly of what it is to be, you know, a food entrepreneur in the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
And we think it's really compelling, and we're really proud of it.
Yeah.
And we recently screened the first 3 episodes to a group of family and friends, and we got a great compliment from Clement Instant Noodles. He said, "This was Nolan-esque."
Wow. For
Now-
you, that is like
That was like
For me, yeah, that's the highest praise that you could give us. And I don't know if it's quite that good, but you know, it's really compelling and it's really fun, and we're continuously filming and we're continuously putting this out there. And I think it's one of those creative outlets that Aki and I have, where not only can we use it to tell the story of our business, but we can also tell the story of ourselves.
Yeah.
As friends, as entrepreneurs. We can show you the highs, we can show you the lows. And, you know, throughout the course of this podcast, we've been discussing entrepreneurship. We've been discussing food. We've been discussing the trials, the tribulations. This docuseries shows you that.
Yep.
It shows you the blow-ups. You know, when I get frustrated at Aki, and Aki gets frustrated at me, and we're fighting in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
But it also shows you the success, our staff, how they step up, you know, how we overcome these problems, you know, how we come up with the Tiana special, right? So all this is captured in the docuseries. And I think for those people that have ever considered entrepreneurship or what it might look like, I think that's like a look behind the curtain
Yeah.
of what's actually happening. Or if you're just a lover of food and you wonder like, hey, how does this actually happen? How does this come to be? We can tell you that whole story.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's like real reality television. It was chaotic when I was watching it, and to see just how it all just the pressure to be able to make things happen. It's fascinating to follow along with you, and it really does give a really nice insight into what it takes to get a business going.
No, so true. And it's also not something that businesses traditionally do in the food and beverage space. But I feel like you guys you've always been very, very visionary in this space, and like just stepping out of like a traditional comfort zone of what restaurants would typically do. And Aki, you kind of lead like the whole social side of this. So it's like, how do you come up with these ideas, and how do you manage to be so social forward in a very untraditionally social space?
Well, as another social forward individual, I appreciate that comment. But I think what is allowing Ricky and I to be as creative as we are is we don't think of Bear Steak Sandwiches as a restaurant. I think first and foremost, this is a brand, right? And this is a brand that serves Toronto and will soon serve the globe, we hope. And with that in mind, we don't need to think in the box of restaurant.
Right.
Because as soon as you put those parameters on yourself, you are stunting your own growth and your own creativity. And when him and I start doing anything at the store, whether it be the food itself or the processes or our next steps, we always think about what do we enjoy, right? What as a consumer myself, what I want to consume, if I'm on social media, if I'm on the street, if I'm walking into a place, what's the first thing going through my mind when I'm trying to at least engage with a brand? So that's the first thing that allows me to kind of step outside of the restaurant realm. But I also think that when we're looking at growth as a goal, right? Because there's no real kind of destination that will cement us and say, yes, we're done.
Yeah.
Right. So the growth is continuous. So when we think about outlets and ways with which we can start to expand beyond sandwiches and restaurants, well, now you're opening up your entire brand vision, because a docuseries might not be on a restaurant's top priorities because they've got way too much going on the go, that filming 8 episodes over the span of a year and a half is not urgent for them. For us, the narrative of the story and telling how 2 entrepreneurs with zero kitchen background, no culinary training, getting that out to the people could help our brand, but also help us as storytellers to get people interested in what it is that we're doing. And I'm sure that somebody out there on YouTube right now is watching this with a similar vision or similar goal and is taking some note and saying, well, that makes sense, right? So if you're looking at how we think of the things that we do, the first thing that we talk about is, what do we like? What is a mutual interest of ours? And how can I make this appealing to anybody in Toronto who's in a similar demographic? And I'm putting myself in your shoes and saying, well, if I saw that video on Instagram, or I was on YouTube watching this content, or I saw that food being offered somewhere, would I personally want to partake in that? Would I want to interact and engage with that brand? If no, next idea, right?
Yeah.
Let's find the thing that has a mutual interest and can generate the most engagement so that everybody feels a part of this community that we're building.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays every business owner, artist, personality is expected to create their own content. And as you spoke about, like, that probably added pressure. Did you feel the pressure to create the docuseries, or did you see it as sort of just an outlet to tell your story?
I think you're totally correct in that analysis. We live in a digital world, and in order to reach your customers, you need to have a digital footprint. So a lot of restaurants do the reels. They do the TikTok, they do the Instagram, and that's important, and it serves a purpose. We just wanted to take a different angle on that same approach. So we wanted to tell a little bit more of a narrative. We wanted to tell a little bit more of a story, and it's no different than what every other restaurant's doing, but we're just taking a bit of a different spin on it.
Right.
Yeah, it's so true. How do you feel like, this was filmed 2023, I would say. Was it 24?
It's 2024.
Oh,
May
yeah,
we
it's
started.
2026. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So this was filmed then, and you guys have both grown so much since then. How do you see that? Like, you look at yourself a couple years ago, do you feel like you both have grown, or you look back and you're like, oh, why did we do that? Or,
No, we've definitely grown. The funny thing is, even watching the episodes now, I can see, like, just what we were doing felt very on the fly.
Yeah.
Because most of it was. A lot of the learning lessons that we have now kind of like taken and absorbed were happening through this docuseries, right? So what you're seeing is happening in real time. We're learning how to roll out collabs. We're learning how to serve a street festival of 600,000 people. These are not things that anybody just hands you a book and says good luck.
Yeah.
It's things that you need to do on your own to establish what is successful and then take those learning lessons and move forward. So I think the growth since that docuseries was filmed has been exponential, and it will continue to be exponential because every single day, as Ricky was saying, there's a lesson to be learned. There's a problem to be solved. There is something that's going to happen outside of your periphery that is going to demand your attention. Yeah. And it's how you proceed in that situation that will allow you to continuously grow into a better entrepreneur, friend, whatever that may be. You're going to learn skills as you go on, right? I think it would be almost a disservice to us if we didn't grow from 2 years ago, right? Like we've already got a second location and we're doing new sandwiches and all of these things are happening at because of what we learned since that docuseries premiered.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. I think that it's good that you've documented that because that's a nice legacy piece. And I hope you take your original business plan and really hold on to it. And as you mentioned, the second location at the Well, you know, Canada's largest food court, I think, Wellington Market now. How did that opportunity come to be?
I mean, we're going to go on the same theme here, is people walking into a shop.
Yeah.
And this is where it all starts. So I think even before we opened the doors to our college location, when we were selling sandwiches out of my mom's backyard on Palmerston, one of the neighbors on Palmerston was a leasing agent for the Well.
Wow.
So
Godsend.
coming and trying the sandwiches and then immediately selling us, saying, hey, you should consider this. You should consider coming to the Well. And I don't think at the time that was the vision for the brand for Aki and I. We kind of wanted to be on the street, wanted to become, more integrated in the community. So we decided to pursue the college opportunity instead. But then 1 year later, as circumstances change and as we grow, now this idea becomes more and more appealing because we know who our customers are. We know where they're located. Why shouldn't we open there? Mm-hmm. And, after a year at college, we decided, hey, now's the right time to take that leap. And because we had that connection from before we even opened, that's a door that we knew was open to us. And so we decided to walk through it.
Yeah. That space is so wildly commercial in comparison to just the brick and mortar that happened on college. And it's very corporate in a sense. So how did your expectations or the expectations of each other and just of the business change when you moved to the Well?
Well, I think if you talk about the aesthetic of both stores, yes, they're going to be very different, right? Ricky and I bootstrapped that first store and we said, we're just going to get this open and running as soon as possible with the bare minimum that we need, right? And we got through it and we saw the lessons taken from that store in terms of what we required and how to open a store more efficiently and took those into location 2 at the Well. The Wellington location is, of course, it's got this beautiful 10-foot neon sign. It's got the tile on the wall. Same pennants, we've got the Jays pennants up there.
Yeah.
We still want to embody a lot of that Toronto sports culture. But when you talk about what Bear is to people, the locations themselves are kind of secondary to what I'm going to call it the vibe, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Because when you walk into college or you walk to the Well, the same energy greets you. It's somebody at the front desk that wants to know who you are, and it's not a transactional conversation. They're trying to at least connect with you at some capacity. So, we've done a lot of market research in terms of other big brands and chains who have open locations across different cities and seen what they're doing. And I think when you have a cookie cutter type of location or blueprint, it takes a bit of the personality out of the brand because you're not embracing the community that you're a part of. You're not embracing the neighborhood that you've joined.
Yep.
So for us at college, it used to be a vintage clothing store, but it's close to home. And so for us, home was we'll throw up the jerseys on the wall and throw up the pennants and really make it so as soon as you walk in, we are right there to greet you and say hello.
Yeah.
At the Well, it's a bit different, right? It's a lot of lights. It's a lot more modern. It's a very kind of communal space, but it's for thousands.
Yeah.
And so we want to kind of expand on that idea And so in designing that Wellington market space, there was elements in there that obviously were a bit more flashy. But I think it's sort of ingratiating us with that Wellington market area that will keep that location unique, but still in the Bear umbrella. And as we open up more of these stores, they're all going to look different, right? There will not be a blueprint for like how to open a Bear Steak Sandwiches, because if we do that, I think we are taking a lot of the personality out of that brand.
Yeah.
Right.
What matters most is how do you resonate with people and what is it that you're trying to represent? And for us, we are just your friendly local sandwich shop, just done in a way where the surrounding environment around you complements the experience you have with the food.
Yeah. And I love that the character of that original store is what you described it as, because that's like the OG spot. So people can always return to that.
Looking back in the last 5 years of what you guys have accomplished, what are you the most proud of?
What are we the most proud of? Well, if we start at the 2023 mark in November when we first opened up that store, where the vision really was just two friends opening up a sandwich shop, I think the barometer for what success looked like would have been if we sold like 50 sandwiches a day. At points in the last 2 years, we have sold upwards of like 500 across 2 locations. And that's just like that's a very kind of like good day, but we're going to do better.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm most proud of is that, and I won't speak for Ricky, but I think I will. We have built something that the community resonates with, right? It could have been pizza. It could have been burgers. It could have been any kind of food whatsoever. But the ultimate goal for us was to create something that people actually enjoy.
Yeah.
And they come back to us and they speak about their experiences they've had or the collaborations they participated in or the content that they've seen. And there's so many facets of this operation that people can experience themselves and really enjoy.
Yeah.
And even if it's, we have so many regulars that come in and talk to us on a personal level. Like we've been to dinners with some of our regulars, that I love. But the most important thing to me is when I think about growth in this business, it has to stay true to what the original vision was, which was a friendly local sandwich shop, right? That will be the first and foremost path forward for us to grow this business. But I'm very proud of Ricky and I being able to connect with as many people as we have over 2 years and share the love of this sandwich with as many people as we have.
Yeah. Great. Ricky?
Yeah, I think I very much concur with Aki's statement. And just to use a cliche here, it's not so much about the destination, but about the journey and the friends you make along the way. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Yeah.
The relationships that we've been able to build and the experiences that we've been able to have, I mean, that's the most valuable thing to us. And I think that's what we're the most proud of. Like, I think as an entrepreneur, that's really impactful to create something and then people come out to support that and tell you how much they love it. And we've had the opportunity to do that many times over the past 5 years. And that journey is what really fulfills us as entrepreneurs, because really there is no destination. We're just going to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And as long as we're having fun and as long as we enjoy what we're doing every day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Love that.
I honestly love that so much. Thank you, Ricky and Aki, for being here today. Like lots of insights, and this is a truly inspiring story of a great product that you have and a great business conversation. And I really look forward to seeing you guys expand. Just before we wrap up, do you guys have any added sentiments or things that you want to leave for our viewers?
I'll start at least. Thank you for having us, of course. It's great to always be able to tell our story from a personal level. When you see the Instagram reels and you see a lot of the social media content that's curated, but I think it's important that Ricky and I are able to at least speak on the vision. But I think the most important kind of takeaway from this episode is going to be, if you have a dream, pursue that. Don't expect to be perfect on day one. Understand that you're going to be making mistakes and learning along the way. But just do it.
Yeah.
Right. To quote a wise Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Because eventually you're going to look back and say, why didn't I?
Yeah.
Right. So there's only one way to find out what your dream really is, and it's just to pursue it.
Yep. Check out the Backyard Boys YouTube channel, at Bear Steak Sandwiches on Instagram, at Aki Erenberg. That's his personal. So yeah, that's it.
Yours is private, so.
I'm
That's
private.
right. Yeah.
Don't bother me.
Yeah. I'm funnier.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us at the table. Make sure to check out their new location at Wellington Market and the Backyard Boys on YouTube. Every episode is coming out once a week. Make sure to tune in, and I think the link is in our description. So
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys next time at the table.